Banner, physician, scientist, searching for a way to tap into the hidden strengths that all humans have. Then an accidental overdose of gamma radiation alters his body chemistry.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose, I love comic books, I love talking about them, I love sharing them with you. Follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I just like to post my art. I post about once or twice a week, nothing too much. I've been working on a comic book that I will be posting for free. I have the first issue on both Instagram and X, or Twitter for us old folks. And you can check it out if you'd like. And I hope to publish it online next year once I complete it. So I'll let you guys know if you're interested. And I've also got a link to the Marvel database / Marvel wiki / Marvel fan site with links to the stories where you can look at the plot and the characters and everything else. So we're going to be looking at 2 issues today. We're going to be looking at Hulk 334 and 335, written by Peter David and drawn by the one and only Todd McFarlane. This is before McFarlane took over at Spider-Man, so this is more of a crude Todd McFarlane. I also have a playlist below if you would like to check the previous ones that I've covered. I plan on covering his entire run, and then I'll probably skip a couple issues here and there because Peter David wrote Hulk for a long time. So we've got this cover. McFarlane did not, sorry, I went too fast. McFarlane did not do this cover. I believe it was Steve Geiger. So here we go. So McFarlane does not provide the art. He is simply the penciler. And the credits will be coming up. But we're resurrecting a character, and already he's got a code name called Half-Life. And this individual says he's late and says, well, he's had a lot of practice. Good use of blacks. I loved also the use of zipatones in the background. So Jim Sanders is the inker. Peter David, of course, is the writer. This is early in his taking over for the Incredible Hulk. But something to just kind of hear: Jim Shooter was still the editor-in-chief at that time for maybe a year or two. But then, of course, he was unceremoniously fired at Marvel. And Bob Harras is currently the editor-in-chief at DC Comics. So he was also the former editor-in-chief at Marvel for a while, and then he also had taken over. So Bob Harras is actually a big deal here. So we got Bruce Banner up here. The Hulk put him there. So if you remember, he's the Hulk during the night and Bruce Banner during the day. And what happened is Hulk drank a lot of alcohol to kind of keep Banner out of commission here. So he wouldn't be able to, seek help and all that. But this day he was not able to do that. So the Hulk was kind of ran out of time. So I love how he says here, such mistakes could be costly and certainly lead to grave circumstances. So love the I think McFarlane does this himself, and because this is very similar to in Spider-Man. So you can see here this helicopter's coming and Bruce Banner's seeking help. So the helicopter's pilot is called McMurphy, and he's calling base and telling that there's a baked a half naked guy on one of the buttes. The guy on the radio tells him, "Don't get too close, you'll blow him off," which he does. But he hung on, and he drops him the rope ladder, and Banner catches it, and now he's gotta try and climb up. So guy says, "What were you doing there?" And Banner's like, you wouldn't believe me." So after some time here, Bruce Banner calls Gamma Base and collect. Back then, you had to long distance was not free, so it was calling collect. And Leonard Samson answers, or Doc Samson, and he asks him, "How'd you end up 500 miles away?" And Bruce Banner kind of starts to explain to him, basically gives him a recap of the previous issue. So I love the calendar. That's such a staple of the 80s. He even makes a comment here, "Attractive calendar girl." So he's hoping that he might be able to whip up some kind of cure for the Hulk. Leonard Samson tells him to stay put, that he's going to send a plane to go get him. And Bruce says that the woman reminds him of Betty. And that's how you know that he's in love, because he sees her face everywhere. I love this part, the innuendo. I can't believe we actually did it. Ramon and I just, you got to go to the next panel. But that's kind of funny. So again, just a brief of a recap of kind of what had happened before then. Feel free to go to the playlist. And so she's kind of just her thoughts about, how she married Bruce, but he was so obsessed in trying to find the Hulk, or at that time they were separated. Again, feel free to go to the playlist to catch up. And so she's having a conflict whether, Bruce or not, because they did get married at that, and so she's emotionally kind of dealing with that. So there was a lot of thought balloons back in the day, and I think that continued till probably the mid 90s. But it was actually a way to narrate stuff without having characters talk to each other per se. So you don't see this very often nowadays. In the comic book I'm working on, I actually did try to incorporate a little bit of the thought balloons. So Samson thinks that Banner didn't tell him everything, but he doesn't have time to worry. So he calls for Hideku, who's some of the Hulkbusters are still left there at the Gamma base. He's asking if they had time to look through Rick Jones' chromosomes. She tells him to be patient. Asks Martel, and Martel says, "In a moment." So here's Rick Jones, who was a Hulk at that time. Again, check the playlist. Rick Jones asking how much longer he has to stay in there. Martel says that there's nothing left of the Hulk inside Rick Jones. Hideko concurs and says that Rick Jones is Hulk free. So Rick Jones is going to get dressed. So Rick Jones, of course, doesn't want to tell Samson that the reason he's no longer the Hulk is because Banner is the Hulk again. So he's going to keep that to himself. He doesn't want S.H.I.E.L.D. to do stuff. Samson asks if everything's okay, and he says, "Yep, I'm fine." So here, some hours have passed. So Bruce is here, and this guy says, "Hey, the other day a person said that he was Mrs. Banner's husband," referring to Betty, and Bruce says that's can't be. Her ex-husband, she says, is Rick Talbot, who is dead. So we're at the morgue here, where we get look how big this telephone is. Goodness gracious, um, it's just huge. Um, he needs to call. Of course, if you remember, Lenny went out with Stern, who is the leader, a human, without his powers, and that they went to go pick up a body, but now the other guy is dead, and Stern has disappeared, and feels terrible because the wife is in her 60s, and he wonders how she'll be able to survive. And then here comes another person who says, "Hey, I got another body for you." He says he'll get to him, just put him on the side, and gets the kid out. And then we see here um very zombified kind of. The crew kind of sat down for supper, and Hideko made larmen for everyone, some kind of Japanese food. So I am unfamiliar with it. So, and here you can see Rick Jones kind of holding it, and they're teasing it. So I don't think they liked it very much because it's hard. They made the joke about it. So, and as they argue, he's like, "Oh, please don't turn around," because he's not gonna eat it. So Bruce and Dr. Sampson are kind of having a discussion where he explains about ratting out Rick as the Hulk, and then he thinks that perhaps it was the Gray Hulk, um, kind of forcing him to do it, and the Gray Hulk was controlling him, trying to bring himself back. So he agrees that also that Rick is free of the Hulk, and Dr. Sampson says, "Absolutely, we'll never um, have to worry about the Hulk." And uh, Bruce is like, "I should live so long." So everybody's here. And here's the funny thing. So he only gets a couple hours during the day. The Hulk comes out at night. You think he would be in a more of a hurry than, trying to do all these things. So Bruce asks about Betty, which is again funny that it's been hours and now he finally asks, and she says that she left. Betty left with a guy called Ramon, and Banner kind of doesn't believe it. He says this is nonsense. He'll go get this straightened out. Rick says, "Let me come with you," and then Clay Quartermain is like, "Maybe it's best if he came," and Banner declines. He says he knows best. He's her husband. It's time he started acting like it. Again, Hulk returns at night, but he doesn't seem to be in a hurry. He comes out and Rick is in a Jeep. He says he's gonna go with him. So Saunders and Larroquette were hurt with the Hulk, and he says that they're not really Hulkbusters, and they don't want to be punchlines. And when Saunders recovers, they're gonna leave. And so now we get into town. So he checks at this hotel, and the lady says, "Oh yeah, it has to be the guy in room 12." Goodness gracious, the 80s. Um, and she says, "Yeah, that has to be him because that's what the airhead called him." And Bruce goes, "See, Rick, it couldn't have been Betty. He was with an airhead." And Rick Jones is smiling here. "Yeah, I'm relieved." And so she tells him that they're in room 12, and so he knocks on the door, and he says, "Betty, are you in there?" And Ramon opens up and says she doesn't want to see you. And he says, "But I'm going to see her." And then Rick says, "I've never seen Bruce so pushy before, but can't blame him." And so here's Betty. Betty's a little upset, but she's kind of embarrassed of the whole situation. And Bruce is like, "Betty, I'm disappointed in you. How could you be here with this person, you know?" And she actually gets angry that he's not even jealous. He says, that she found him with another man. He's not even upset or jealous. So he asked, "Did anything happen between you two?" She says, "No." And he goes, "Well, then there you are." So, um, here you see Ramon punches Bruce quite hard. Love the this panel here. Um, so Ramon had asked him to leave, but Bruce, of course, didn't, and so he starts to um, beat up on Bruce. Of course, if this was the 70s, he would do his green eye thing and then turn into the Hulk, because that's what sort of used to happen. But the Hulk now won't come out till nighttime period. So Ramon's like, how dare you come in here like like you're somebody. Who do you think you are?" So Bruce is like, "You don't want to know." Of course, you can see the kind of the Hulk inside. Um, Betty says, "Oh, Bruce, I'm so sorry." And Ramon's like, "See, you don't deserve you. He doesn't get mad or fight for you." Rick kind of pokes him here. He's like, "That's because he doesn't fight with his fists." And he tries to punch Rick, but Rick avoids them and then punches Ramon. And then Ramon's coming through him. Rick kicks him. I love how McFarlane pencils this, how he uses the kick. It's pretty cool. This is still early McFarlane, but he's probably been a pro for maybe two years. I think 84 is when he started, 2 or 3 years. But um, Rick Jones used to be Bucky for a time with Captain America. So, and so they're kind of carrying Bruce out. She kind of tells him part of the problem is that he's always trying to be so logical, and that's Ramon is so different from him. Highs, lows, tempers, and moods. Uh, but Bruce and her, there's no passion, and asks if he could be a little spontaneous. So he goes and gets a room at that hotel in town and grabs Betty. And so Rick Jones just kind of shrugs his head. He knows what's up. So we're back at the morgue. And so he's going to take a look now at the dead guy, but the dead guy grabs him. And then we go into another we're just kind of moving along. So they're like, he's at the bar and they're like, "Are you sure you're over 18, pal?" And and Rick Jones makes a joke. I've been 18 since I was B for born, because in Marvel, characters sort of don't age. And then he notices how dark it is, and the guy goes, "Hey, it's because the time changed." And so Rick panics and gets out. So Bruce is like, "Hey, we have to get back," and she's like, "Just cuddle for a little bit." Um, and so he's holding her, but she says, "Oh, you're trembling," and then She has her eyes closed, but then she opens it, and of course he's turning into Hulk, and she yells at him, and of course Rick Jones is coming up, and he breaks the door down, and he's like, "Oh no!" And um, the Hulk has gotten out and appears here. The coloring, they painted everything blue, and they do that sometimes, but they really, if you see here, her hand, and I sort of missed it the first time. That's why Rick is kind of panicking there. But here's Betty's hand. So, and the Hulk went through, and great picture of the Hulk. And he's like, I hope she's okay, because she could have been killed. But then he's like, hey, what do I care about? We're realizing here that they're kind of controlling each other. Hulk can control Bruce, and Bruce can control Hulk. So, um, so, so Bruce or Hulk says that whatever was making him weak is actually coming from that Jeep. He lands because he just couldn't stay up in the air, so he uses his clap, which causes a shockwave here, and we can see the figure still in silhouette. And he says, "What are you?" And he says, "Call me Ishmael," which is again, it's Peter David. Peter David's trope is just to insert humor, but he's a really good writer. It's just that sometimes the humor, it's over the top all the time. So it's kind of like that fourth Thor movie where it was just a joke after joke after joke. But his name is actually Half-Life. So the reason he's called Half-Life is he's dead during the day, but he only comes out at night. And Hulk hits him and breaks his jaw. He picks it up and puts it back. So we get a little bit, and you can check out the Marvel database site here for more of his origin. But used to be an English teacher, and now this is what the Gamma has basically turned him into, a zombie-like creature, and it's made him a little crazy. So his power is kind of like that of the Parasite, Superman's enemy, the Parasite. He's basically taking Hulk's strength, and Hulk pushes him away and ends up breaking him in half. But of course, that doesn't kill him. So even without, he's still controlling his limbs, and he gets rid of them and throws them. See, this is what I mean about the jokes. You've been disarmed. It's just constantly. So he tossed him what he says here, about a mile. So he can't drain too much from him, but he'll kind of get back together eventually. So we kind of get a little bit more of it, but Hulk is not really interested in it. He says, "How many of you people are in New Mexico?" He says, "Nope, this was in Colorado last year." And he just kind of pauses. He goes, "Last year," without just kind of with that face there. And his strength's gone, and now he's gonna get away. So comic books are very condensed, but we're almost done with this issue here. He blames Banner for making the bomb, and Hulk just needs distance. So he traps he traps Bruce in like some kind of cave in a mountain, and he says that Hulk's getting smarter by making sure leaving Bruce where he can't escape. So he says these mountains are too close together, so there won't be any airplanes. So he thinks about kind of what Half-Life had said. he wonders why he ended up creating the gamma bomb, and so he says he hopes he finds peace. Of course, there's all his parts have kind of made their way together. So we got the end of the issue here. So we're going to do the next one real quick. McFarlane does not pencil this one, but I remember buying this issue on the supermarket. So we're going to go ahead and get it real quick here. I believe Geiger also does the... he signed it this time. Geiger and McLeod. Great cover here. It's kind of a horror story of it. So, all right. So we got a house here. We're just gonna go real quick here, where this girl is having kind of some dreams, kind of like the boogeyman, and she kind of wakes up. She hears something, and she's goes down underneath the bed to see if she sees it. Suddenly, she something snatches her and comes from under the bed, and he hits her in the eyes. She can't see and runs out the window, covering herself. Makes a mention that her parents won't hear it because they sleep like the dead, and this creature is going behind her, and she's yelling for help, and then hits something. Of course, we know who it is. It's Hulk, but she's like, please help me. There's some kind of monster behind me. And monster, no kidding. I truly wish this person would have drawn more Hulk, because I understand the style is so much different. So John Ridgway is the guest artist. He has done here it says an offbeat tale of the gray-skinned behemoth. So John Ridgway has done a lot of stuff. So most of what John Ridgway did is in England. He's a British guy, but his most famous American work is Hellblazer, that I think he did for a little bit. That's his sort of his most famous. He just did this, but man, oh man, I think his style is perfect for the Hulk. So this creature says, I saw her first. She's mine. Don't cross me. And he's like, try me, tough guy. So she's behind the Hulk, says, please don't let him hurt me, please. And the guy wonders why Hulk is trying to protect her. She's nothing. She's weak, not like they are. He senses that they're kindred spirits, and says to give her to me. It's like watching the wings of a fly getting plucked. He says, I'll even let you help. So Hulk says it'd be interesting to see how cruel someone can be, and looks at the girl, but then grabs her and says, but not this time. But just to make sure, he says, maybe next time. Of course, police showed up and yell, nobody moves, and the light causes our Spectre here to sort of disappear, and they're like, what's going on? So the Spectre has disappeared, but the Hulk is still there. She tells the cops that she saved them, to please don't hurt him. And she says, okay, I won't hurt him. And Hulk laughs. You got that right. This tale is, or this story is really fun. It's one of my favorites. Like I said, I bought this off a supermarket. I read this thing so many times when it first came out. I must have read it 100 times when I was young. So he says Hulk here is gonna show him why he won't hurt him, and take a quick drink. So he breaks the fire hydrant and drinks water straight from the fire hydrant. And he goes, "That's better." And then he says, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." Of course, that's a nod to the Hulk show. So, so we're at a gas station, and during those days, we were still in the era where there was self-serve and full service. Full service was a little bit more, but they kind of did stuff for you. So this guy's working at the gas station. So, and just in conversation, so it's $10 for the gas here. So it's probably like, gosh, gas I think was under $1 a gallon in the 80s. So they asked if he knows what happened to Adria Wagner, that some stalker maniac attacked her. He says no, and kind of explains some of the, that how horrible, how this is a nice town, that kind of stuff shouldn't be happening there. And he says, "Yep, that's horrible. There's monsters everywhere." So, guy gives him the money. He says, "Watch your back. Maybe the stalker's nearby. Maybe he's in the car. Maybe it's you." Then he drives off. He says, "Boy, that boy gives me the creeps." So a doctor's seeing her, but of course it's not a regular doctor. It's Bruce Banner. It's daytime. So this issue kind of does not explain how he anything that happened. So this issue just kind of picks up. Um, it's a single one and done sort of story. Doesn't really explain anything about the previous issue. So Bruce is pretending to be a psychiatrist, and he says, if he asks anything about that creature, he says that it called him Addy Addy, and the only person that calls him was a weird gas jockey, who's the one that works at of Gil, who was the guy that was pumping gas. So he says it can't be him because he was in jail, so he's not the one that could have done this. So, and just wonders how anybody can, be so cruel and so evil. And Bruce holds her hand. Bruce explains to her that everyone has a dark side, and I love it how he turns his head and the Hulk's shadow appears. So he leaves and asks her to get some rest, and she says she'll try. So, and then she says, "Hey, there's a staff psychiatrist. I thought you'd like to talk to him." He goes, "Oh, I just saw Dr. Banner. I can't, or I just talked to Dr. Banner. I can't go through that again." And she's like, "Dr. Banner? We don't have a Dr. Banner on staff here." Of course, it was Bruce. So we're showing this guy. So we do know something's up because they wouldn't show this to you. So, and so this guy's getting a lot of alcohol, and even when the person that sells you alcohol tells you you drink too much, you got a problem. So, and he's walking by, and then he's getting all these scary movies here. So he's got Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she says, "Hey, Gil, look, rent something else, a Disney movie. I'll give you half off." And he asks if Disney makes slasher films. So he's a bit weird. So he goes in here to kind of how he lives, and Bruce Banner is following him, by the way. So that's my bad. I guess I should have. So you can see here, this guy was pointing at him, and so this is saying like this is Gil. So there's Banner, and here's Banner again. So this is my bad. And then here, and then here. So he keeps following the guy. So Bruce is now seeing him go in. So, and he's just kind of waiting, and he's drinking, watching slasher movies. So, and Bruce is still watching and waiting, and there's the police. So he's hiding because he doesn't want them to find him. puts in another movie. This is a VCR. If anybody's younger here, that's not from the 80s. This is before DVDs or digital. You had to actually put in like this video cassette in there. And so the guy's watching as Bruce watches him, and then he, at the same time, he's turning from Bruce to the Hulk, and it's kind of showing as he goes from Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde, and Gil falls asleep, and from inside Gil comes this specter, and so he comes out and sees the Hulk, and he says, "I'm not surprised. I knew you'd be drawn. You and I are so alike." He says, "I ought to crush you for that," and he says, "You wouldn't." And he said, "Wouldn't you like to get rid of your weaker side and not have to wait?" And Hulk tells him, "What makes you think I have a weaker side?" He says, "It's in your eyes." So Hulk takes that specter creature. I really don't know what else to call him. So he asked about why he vanished. He says that happens when Gil wakes up, but that won't happen. So he gets him nice and drunk so that he sleeps in there. So they're gonna go inside into this bar here, and it says these men here assaulted a girl months ago, and then backed each other up, and that they weren't anywhere and got away with it, and they boasted it to Gil. So he says, "You didn't want me to kill an innocent girl," which is a flaw he says a flaw in his character. "But how about killing men who deserve it?" And he tells them that he says if he helps him, he can get stronger and be able to dominate the weaker side like he dominates Gil. And he says, "Well," so Hulk looks at him and says, "Well, let's see if you can take him." So he goes in there and starts disposing of them with the sharp fingernails. I love that. And the guy's like so cold, so cold. So he saves the last one. He says, "Would you like some hands-on experience?" He says, "Do it yourself. You'll be doing the world a favor." So he says, "Kill something." And he says, "All right, you talked me into it." And then the guy's like, "I never doubted you could." And then he grabs the guy. He says, "Wait, not me." And he says, "Yeah, you, because I don't care about that guy. I don't even care much about the girl, but I don't like you." And the guy gets away and ends up ripping the shirt. And he's like, "What's the matter? Not afraid, are ya?" So he's like yelling for Gil to wake up, but of course Gil's not awake. He made sure of that, and the police have arrived, and he's the thing is like, "Hey, police, help, help!" And then he takes one guy out, and then grabs the other one out through the window, and he's yelling, "Wake up, please, get me out of this nightmare!" And of course the Hulk follows him, and he's like, "Oh, he's not behind me anymore," but of course now he's in front of him, and crashes into Hulk, and he's like, Gil, let me in." He's like, "Wake up, you broken slob." So, and Hulk grabs him and says, "Remember I said maybe next time? Well, this is next time." He says, "Look at you, you're shaking." And he says, "You can't do this, we're two of a kind." No, we're not, because you're terrified of me, and I just terrify." And he punches the creature through, and the creature screams. So Now we are the next day, and I think this is Bruce here. They said they should be able to restore part of her sight with modern technology, and they said that she asked if they heard about Gil Jeffers, that they brought him in, and he's in a coma. So of course, Bruce is talking with him. He says the stalker's gone, he's dead, but that's the problem. The evil consumed him until there was only him, no joy, no soul, overwhelming hatred, and without the hatred, there's nothing left except the shell. And then he quotes, oh my God, what is his name? William Shakespeare. Oh my gosh. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. Except, who am I to say your eulogies? Perhaps more appropriate would be, there but for the grace of God go I. So the evil that men do is from Julius Caesar. So the play. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. It is so one was kind of continuing this or part of the story, and this one was just kind of a one and done different thing here. So like and subscribe. Sorry this video kind of ran a little long, but like I said, these comic books are a little condensed. So thanks for listening. Bye.